everyone has a story and everyone's been through something. Those people that are getting up and brushing their knees off to get back out there after heartbreak or trauma, rejection, all of these things people face. And I just think it's such a brave thing to do, right?
Hello and welcome to the Go Encourage podcast. My name is Rix and I talk to real people about real life, trying to gain some insights from their understanding and their experiences building courage. We are in the relationship series today and I'm about to be joined by Erica Laws, who is a relationship coach, a dating expert, a matchmaker and founder of the Laws of Attraction. Yes, based here in the UK, but also internationally as well. So I'm really excited to see what she brings to the table today as we look at relationships and building courage in that area. Hey Erica, welcome to the Go Encourage podcast. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm really pleased that you're here. Excited to hear about all your insights in the dating world.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys.
Excellent. So the first thing I tend to ask is, what is your name? We know it's Erica. What does it mean?
So my family will roll their eyes at this because they certainly did not know that when they named me, but it apparently means eternal power.
Eternal power. Wow. Powerful.
Yes. And sometimes I think I am.
Did you know that from an early age? Or
No, I didn't know. Okay. I didn't know. But yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I at least think I have a lot of power sometimes.
You have a lot of power.
Yeah.
All right. And do you use it well in life?
Well, I try.
Okay. So tell me a bit about how you grew up and this family that you've talked about here, knowing that you're eternal power. What was the dynamic, brothers, sisters, that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So I am based in the UK. We're recording this in the UK, but I am from the US originally. So I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, which is on the East Coast. A lot of people aren't near Washington, D.C. And I grew up with what we would call this day and age a modern family.
Okay.
It didn't have that name when I was growing up, but I have 3 brothers and sisters, so I'm one of 4.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother and sister are technically my half siblings, so from my father's previous first marriage, but my dad had full custody of my brother and sister. So I never grew, they were always around, and at that time it was not very common for fathers to have full custody. So
right.
I really, want a testament to my incredible parents. My mom started dating my dad and got 2 children. Right. And it was just an amazing, we're all different, but we love each other very much. And amazing family to grow up in. And then I moved to the UK in 2013 for what I thought was going to be 12 months.
Right.
But
you fell in love with us.
Absolutely. And went back to the US for work. I moved to the UK in 2013 for a job, and that was meant to only be 12 months. And I stayed on afterwards on a permanent contract and moved back to the US briefly for basically a project in Nashville, Tennessee. And then moved back here in 2016 and said to my boss at that time, after my 3rd move across the Atlantic Ocean with him, that I was done now.
You're done.
Yeah. I was putting down some roots, and it's home now. It's home, and I just love it here.
So how long have you been here in total?
I count from 2013. Sure. So 10 years, a little over 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. And just going back to your siblings, so 4.
4.
And then older brother and sister, and then were you 3rd or 4th?
I was 3rd, and then I have a little brother.
Okay.
So I'm like right in the middle.
So you're eternal power, but you can't play the youngest card on top of that.
I absolutely can't. No. My brother is the golden child, my little brother. No, right. He gets that card. He gets that card.
Yeah, I've seen it being played. It's a good card to play. I'm not that. I'm the eldest, so don't get to play it. But my sister, she plays it. Yeah, she plays it well.
Yeah, I wanted that card. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I do want him, and I prefer him, but I would have liked to use that card a little bit growing up, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, cool. And then here for that long. And what's that been like in terms of family dynamics then? You know, you're saying that it sounds like you're a close family, and then you being over here in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, that is the hardest part about living here. I don't so much miss my life there, but I miss my family deeply, deeply and desperately sometimes. But I'm very, very blessed. I go back quite a bit. So I work with clients, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but I work with clients all over the world, which means I have the flexibility to go home quite a bit. My parents are still very healthy and make the journey here quite a bit. I have a beautiful, beautiful little boy, so that does tend to draw them to me a bit more, which is great.
He's the carrot that you dangle.
Yeah.
Come and see him. Come and see him.
Exactly. I'm like, look at this milestone.
Yeah.
See what you're missing? Come here. No, but it's great. And I always love going home. My parents live in a very small town with not a lot going on, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's always nice to go home and recharge too.
Amazing. And it's at the East Coast, right? So it's just over the pond.
Exactly. Just like a little hop.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So as going back to when you we're going to come back to you handing in your notes and doing something else.
Yeah.
But just time traveling a little bit to when you were very young. Did you have an aspiration about what you wanted to be when you're older, an ambition, a career choice?
I wanted to be a dolphin trainer.
A dolphin trainer. Wow. Okay.
And also a marine biologist, but so that I could work with dolphins. So that was
your route in.
That was my main motivation there. Yeah, exactly. I love animals. So, but I cannot handle blood or anything like that. So the vet track was not for me. The veterinary track was not going to work out. But really, I just wanted to be with animals, help animals.
Okay, so fast forwarding to today, what is it that you actually do now?
Yeah, so I am a dating expert, a relationship coach, and a matchmaker. And I founded a dating consultancy called Laws of Attraction earlier in 2023.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so training dolphins. And then you were in another role, which was, what was the industry that you're in?
So I worked in HR and human resources within finance for 2 decades, and yeah, I started off, held many different hats within HR, but HR primarily, and the most recent role I held within HR, within the firm I was working in, was I was managing an entire recruitment resourcing team. So a lot of in-house headhunting, staffing, and I supported a specific business, or sales and traders within the bank, and yeah, so I oversaw anyone we brought in to support for different roles, which really led me into what I'm doing now from a matchmaking perspective. You know, my job was very much so spending time with my senior stakeholders, understanding what their business needs were, and then going out and finding that person for them.
Right. Okay.
So a lot how I work with some of my clients, really understanding what they're looking for and trying to find what is the right fit or the right match for them as well.
Yeah, you can see how the two skills are transferable as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I always tell people, a lot of people ask me sort of from finance to this, and I always say they're very similar roles, just a very different industry.
Sure. So in your dating coach role, I guess before we get into that, why the transition? What was it that pulled you in that direction?
It's a bit of a funny story, I guess, but a couple of different factors. I would say from a matchmaking standpoint, I had been matchmaking people as a hobby for many, many years. I have
most people read books or climb mountains, right? Your hobby is to matchmake people.
My hobby is connecting people, and I didn't realize
Nice.
it
Yeah.
until more recently in my life, but it explains my career. When I look back at, and some friends have now really drawn up, I have a lot of, even my friend groups, I probably have 12 close girlfriends, very close, and they are from all different walks of my life. And most of them are great friends. And I mean, some of them are from back home, and some of them I've met here. Some of them live, in different parts of the US, and they've only come to know each other through me, and they now go on holidays together.
Amazing.
And these kind of connections I was making in my life, I didn't even realize the sort of correlation into my career at the time. But I have also friends and couples in my life through work, people I would meet. I'd be like, oh, I have someone you'd be great with. Like after spending time speaking to them, maybe it was on a night out, maybe it was at work, and then sort of connecting them and sort of letting that take its course. But I have, even before I set this up, I have people who've gone on to get married, have children that I've introduced.
Yeah.
I have a friend.
Did you get to do a speech at the wedding?
Yeah.
Or?
I was in one of the weddings, which was amazing. I had a friend who was in the US, and she came to visit me in the UK, and I took her actually up north to go meet another friend and we went on a night out, and they are now living in the UK and have 2 beautiful babies.
Amazing.
And yeah, so it was that was something I was always sort of doing and connecting people. And then I had a pretty pivotal moment in my life, which was the birth of my son.
Right.
Most people who know me, I was, 60-hour work weeks weren't unusual for me. I threw myself into work very much so. I spent, and we can get into more of it later, but I spent all of my 20s basically thinking I didn't want a partner, and children weren't for me, and all of that. And yeah, what everything they say is true, even though I tried to fight it. My son got here, and my life just went upside down in the best possible way.
So had you started the dating coaching?
No.
Before?
So it was just before I was on my maternity leave, actually, when it had started. And I had a friend who it was Christmas time, and a couple of friends for some drinks, and we went and he showed up, and he's London based, and he was talking about he was using a matchmaker in the city, and the amount he had spent on this matchmaker, and the matchmaker had set him up on 3 dates. In the first date, the woman she had set him up with didn't want children. And my friend had recently ended a very long-term relationship because his partner at the time, she ended up realizing she didn't want children. So one of his main values, things he wanted for himself in his life, was children. And this matchmaker had set him up with someone who didn't want. And I was like, come on, that's matchmaking 101.
Right, basics.
And at those drinks, my other very, very good friend, she's a very successful female in finance. She is a life and success coach for female leaders. Okay. And she said to me, Erica, why aren't you doing this? Like, he's just informed you that he's employed someone to do this for him, and they've not done a good job. You can do this. And I was like, yes, let me do this for you. And so that's kind of how it started. And then, I've become I'm a certified relationship coach. So ICF accredited certification, which is it's the International Coaching Federation. So internationally recognized. And really through that certification is where I enjoy the matchmaking piece, but really the coaching piece came through for me, that I could really help people. And a lot of my own experiences, I've spent my 20s kissing a lot of frogs, had a lot of, and meeting my husband was another one of those pivotal moments in my life that I almost really messed up and didn't, and ended things with him. And, that was almost it. And when I look back on that and those behaviors I had and the habits I had and the sort of come to Jesus moment, if you will, that made me realize, like, what am I doing? This guy is amazing. All of this sort of came together for me at that time, and I realized that I could really help others. So I then sort of took the leap of faith and left my very stable and secure career, and haven't looked back. It's been I feel like I helped people in a way in my previous role, but the amount of people we've been able to help and support over the past, moving into 2 years now has just been incredible. And I'm just getting started.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
Love it. And there's a few things that I'd like to push into, if that's okay. And that's And I guess I'm pushing because you are a dating coach. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of pushing back on you before we've even asked you your advice on how to, date successfully. You nearly ended things with your husband, you said there.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that was, if like, you don't have to get too personal, but like what was it?
Yeah, I'm happy to tell this story. I started my husband basically just a little bit of backstory. I won't go into too much detail, but I had a relationship when I was at university, my early 20s. Not a good relationship. He was very he wasn't loyal to me at all. And in your 20s, you're a girl in your 20s, you're just sort of like, life is hectic enough to then, I was cheated on a lot. It was an abusive relationship in more than one way. It was a really hard time, to be honest with you. And I think getting out of that relationship, which I did, towards right before I was leaving uni, which was amazing. But after that, I felt, and I didn't realize it at the time, and really has taken a lot of work. But I didn't value myself anymore. And so from then, I started getting in relationship with people who were unavailable. And what I mean by that is like emotionally unavailable people that I could keep at arm's length.
Right.
People that I wasn't getting too close to, or I was just dating around. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but I had really convinced myself that I didn't want a partner. I
guess, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just like, I'm thinking keeping them at arm's length so that you don't get hurt again, so that they can't abuse you or treat you in a way that you deserve not to be treated.
Exactly.
That's the kind of mentality we're talking about here.
100%.
Yeah.
And the cheating was pretty, I realized the impact it had on me for a long time, the not being able to trust anything. And I dealt with that in a way of, instead of being in these relationships where I was untrusting and super anxious, I just didn't allow myself to get into relationships where where those things were happening. So I was just dating people who were, avoidant, definitely attachment styles. But for me, it was kind of like, oh, that's just the way we are. We're just, we go days without messaging. And I just didn't allow myself to get attached to people. I didn't fall in love during this period of time or anything like that. And I became very, I had my guy friends would become almost dependent on them in ways like getting there, we go and do things. And that was enough for me. I was like, oh, this is great. I have my friends and they will check those boxes I need for me.
Fill those kind of little needs in terms of male company and things like that.
Exactly. And they're amazing, by the way, don't get me. But I made myself believe like that's all. After doing the work, I realized that deep down, I didn't believe I was worthy of this relationship, this family. I actually sat my mom down in my late 20s and told her I was not going to have kids. And people who...
Was she okay?
To be honest, she handled it amazing, which I was not actually expecting at the time.
Yeah.
And people, going back to what I wanted to be when I grew up, like I've always like cared for animals. I've always had this, like my friends, I've got a maternal, I go to a night out with my friends and I'm always the one who's like keeping an eye on everyone. Like, don't get that close to that guy. I'm
Watch
always,
your drink.
exactly. And so, and people kept telling me, like, oh, you'd be a great mother. And I was like, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. And so anyways, fast forward to, I went on a date with my husband and it was a nice date. We had a great time, but I was like, oh, he is too nice.
Right.
And so I went out with a girlfriend. We had dinner and she was asking me how it was. And I was telling her all about him. He was, oh, he sounds great. And I was like, I think he's too nice for me. And so I ended things with him.
Wow.
And then that weekend, the following weekend, went to the park, beautiful London summer day, with that same friend I'd gone to dinner with and her husband, a couple of our other friends. They had run off to go to find the bathroom. I was sitting there with her husband and he was going, oh, she told me you were dating this guy who sounds like a really great guy. And I was like, oh yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy, but actually I've ended things with him. And he was like, why? Said, oh, he's too nice. And he said to me, and I tell him all the time, I reiterated to him at our wedding. He looked at me and said, Erica, you need to learn how to accept the love you deserve. It was very profound for my friend,
beautiful.
by the way.
That's amazing.
It was amazing, and it changed my life. I went
What was your friend's name?
Chris.
Chris, shout out Chris, man.
Yeah.
What great advice.
And I went home, and it was like that seed that planted. I was like, why am I deserve this? And I think I needed to be told that I deserved it. And so I went home, and I literally for days, like, just kept thinking about it, started unpacking things, and really realized, like, if I wanted what does a relationship look like, an ideal relationship, how do I want to feel? And then I compared it to the way my now husband made me feel, and the experience I had going on a date with him, right? It was comfortable. He was kind, all of these things. And I was like, what am I doing? These people that are constantly, like, my history of relationships have not been fantastic. But this is the one that you should be, he's checking all of these boxes. Like, I should give him this chance. And now we're married with, we've got 2 great kids, cat and a dog. We are,
a cat as well. I knew you had a dog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a cat as well.
Yeah,
okay.
He's the king of the castle. So that is kind of a bit about me, but really
Beautiful.
taking all of that learning and just really hoping to share it with others and to remind you guys that the nice guys are the ones.
I love to hear it. It's brilliant. I mean, it's something that when I speak to guys as well about, the nice guys don't seem to catch a break, very gentlemanly, doing their best to provide stability, calmness, all that kind of good stuff. And what they find is the girls tend to go for the bad guys because they bring polarity, they bring passion, they bring, sense of adventure, maybe some mystery on one side of the coin. But on the other side of the coin, it's like you've got to pay for that in other ways. And that could be distance, avoidance, flakiness, inconsistency, all sorts of other stuff as well. So it's really interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. And dare I say sometimes women don't actually know what they want because they're so used to having things that they shouldn't have been experienced, shouldn't have had experienced.
100%. And I think that's women and men to be in different ways sometimes. But yes, I'm on a mission to make sure the nice guys are coming in first, to make sure people are allowing themselves to really, I want people to really understand what they want and to go for whatever that is for them, right? I'm not saying everyone needs to be in a relationship. Everyone needs to end up with a family with kids. But really just getting very clear on what you want instead of settling or chasing something that you think you're used to having or that you've experienced, because we go with familiarity, right? So we chase those feelings that we've come across at some point in time or someone's told us that we need in our life, but really looking inwards and figuring out what you want.
Yeah, and even throwing into that family dynamics. So you don't know that you might have been in a family that didn't have healthy dynamics because that's just your norm. Yeah. And only when you meet someone and you try and build family, maybe a relationship, that you start to go, oh, hang on a second, that's not like okay, or this is okay, or whatever, and build that sort of healthy dynamic together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we got to a lot of stuff there, which is really cool. And I want to press in a little bit more, but before I do that, I thought we could have a little bit of a brain break.
Great.
I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions.
Cool.
And you can let me know your answers. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You cool?
Yeah.
Favorite food on a first date?
Ooh, so I don't do food on a first date.
Oh.
Yeah.
Explain.
So I'm actually I can be quite anxious. And I don't like eating in front of people I don't know.
Nice. Okay.
Like in an intimate setting, like I can eat in a restaurant with other people.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm not a big, and actually I'm not even a big advocate of anyone eating you can, but it's not, I like to give other suggestions for dates. But I don't eat I didn't eat on the first date with my husband.
That's really interesting. I know it's supposed to be really quick, but that's really interesting because I think if you're already anxious or nervous even, and you're about to meet someone for the first time, you don't know them, there's lots of layers of emotion going on already, right? 100%. So to eat on top of that can be...
It's very... And it can be... it's another thing to be anxious about, right?
Yeah.
Depending what you're eating, people can you're hyper aware of, am I going to spill? Do I have something in my teeth?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
am I looking right
Do I
now?
order the chicken wings? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I always eat before a
Okay,
date and then you can spend the date talking too, right? Because when you're eating,
Mm.
sometimes, you've got to awkwardly
Yeah,
wait for
yeah.
other people. It's not always as organic flow, especially when you don't know someone very well.
Go-to clothing choice is what I normally ask people, but because you're my dating expert on the relationship series, go-to clothing choice for a first date.
I would say pants, like trousers, and a nice blouse.
Okay.
For men, love like the chinos and nice sweater or always long sleeve.
Always long sleeve. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for a date.
For a date.
Sure.
Is that
At
because
the
it's more
first date.
formal?
Yeah, well, just nicer, right? I think. We live in the UK, so if someone is listening to this in Texas, then in the summertime in August, then maybe I'll let it slide. But yeah, long sleeves.
No, you're being too lenient.
Yeah.
Wear that long sleeve. Doesn't matter where you are. No, I'm
Dress
kidding.
nice. Put in some effort for the first date.
Okay. Top 3 dating apps.
I don't have 3.
You don't have 3.
Hinge, number 1, 100%.
I don't know anything about dating apps, so I'm going to need you. When you say Hinge, what are we talking about here?
So Hinge is a dating app.
Okay.
It is, in my opinion, an amazing dating app. and I'll talk about her a little bit later, but Logan Ury is a relationship psychologist. She's a relationship scientist for Hinge. She graduated from Harvard. She's really brilliant. She's a dating coach, matchmaker, all of the things. And she is really she's been working for Hinge for a few years, and their slogan is designed to be deleted. And their success rate comes from Hinge weddings. So they want people to find relationships, and they use some really amazing prompts that you can customize to your profile to really show through your personality, tell a little bit more about you instead of a standard like, hi, I'm Erica, I do this, I like long walks on the beach. It's more of a creative way to come through, and you get better engagement. I also think a lot of the apps let a lot slide.
Right.
So Bumble is probably my least favorite.
Bumble. Okay.
Like mainstream app. A lot of the profiles, they're not really policed in the way that you would. So a lot of inappropriate things you can find on Bumble profiles, which I don't love.
Okay.
And Tinder is having a little bit of a rebrand at the moment. I would not say Tinder is a favorite. I wouldn't usually or previously, but big fan of Tinder's rebrand, and they're doing quite a lot of work. So Hinge, Tinder, and then I'll say Coffee Meets Bagel, which is a much smaller app, but it's
Coffee Meets Bagel.
Yeah,
Okay.
sends you like 10 matches a week, so you don't do any scrolling, and you have a certain time period to message with them. And I really love that concept of a lot of people waste a lot of time, get sucked into the app void of the swiping and can spend hours and hours on it, and then afterwards they're feeling really deflated because they didn't find matches. Whereas coffee apps like Coffee Meet Bagel, and there's a couple more popping up on the market right now, they do a little bit of AI matchmaking and send you these 10 matches, and then out of those 10 you can decide if you want to message people. And I think the problem with some dating apps is the paradox of choice, right? You just have so many options that people don't feel satisfied. There's I know someone, she's in the industry, just plug her app right now, but Ready is an attachment style app. So it matches you based off your attachment style, which is pretty incredible. And yeah, there's a couple of other ones coming out right now too, which I love that. But yeah, of the mainstream ones, I'd say Hinge is my number
Hinge
one.
is number one. Okay. Oh, I had an idea about attachment style and attracting people through that, but it sounds like someone's already there.
Yeah.
So too late.
Ready's got you on that.
Okay. Ooh. 3 dating locations that you think are good.
One, I love the coffee shop date. I think it is, the first dates should be a vibe check, really. And that's a great way to sit down, talk to someone. Yes, enjoy a nice hot drink, but get to know each other in a nice chilled atmosphere. Most coffee shops are usually quite lax, and it's a nice way to speak, to get to know someone. I love a walk. So really, I suggest that to people a lot. When 2 people stand side by side versus facing each other, you're more likely to open up about things. So when you're walking and talking, the conversation flows more. And then you can always grab a coffee at the end of it. Love that. And I love activity dates.
Okay.
And so axe throwing is one, bowling, darts, anything like that brings out a competitive side.
They all involve weapons though.
They do. Supervised though, but true. Active, usually get a lot of laughs from that too, right?
Sure.
People's competitive sides come out. So then you're getting to know someone on a deeper level, right? You're seeing things about someone's character and you're going to enjoy it more. And that's, it's a lot of people are experimenting with sober dating these days, not just dry January. So things like that are great ways to get to know people without necessarily needing alcohol to be involved. But I do love the old fashioned going for a drink. That would be my date of choice.
That would be your date of choice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Ours.
All right. Star sign. What's your star sign?
Ooh, Capricorn through and through.
Capricorn. Is that January? Is that right? No.
Yes.
December,
January. Yeah.
Cool. And are you into star signs as a bit of fun or?
Yeah. Well, I'm quite a spiritual person, and I love a bit of astrology.
Right.
Yeah.
Current TV show, or if you're watching TV shows.
Just started. Well, Shrinking. Have you heard of Shrinking?
No.
Oh, I would love to recommend
Shrinking
that.
as in psychologist?
Yeah, so it's called Shrinking,
Smart.
and it's brilliant. It's really brilliant. I think it's on Apple TV.
Cool.
Really good.
Oh, hang on. Is this with, is it Harrison Ford?
No. Oh, yes, it's with, is his name Harrison Ford? Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it is Harrison Ford.
Okay.
I'm really bad with names.
Okay.
But yes, I'm pretty
Indiana
sure.
Jones. He used to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a therapist in there. And then this other guy named Jason something. I think is his name.
Yeah. He was in How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
love him.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. 10/10 would recommend.
All right. I'll check it out. Yeah. It comes up on my recommendations. Are you spiritual? You've answered this.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am. I grew up religious. Well, I grew up Christian, but yeah, I'm a more non-denominational. Definitely believe in a higher power, in the universe, all of that. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say what you believe in spiritually is different from what you grew up with? Or do you think it's involved, or do you think it's...
Yes, I would say it's different.
Okay.
I would just say there feels like there are more rules and things in the way in the church I grew up in versus how I live my life now. You know, I really believe in everyone deserving love and good things and all of that. So I'm much more open now to, in my beliefs and things like that. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Introvert or extrovert?
I am an introverted extrovert.
You're an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
Which means?
So I can handle group situations, but I only recharge by myself when I'm alone. So I can get very drained. But I'm outgoing. I've got a lot of energy. But yeah, I need how I charge myself is by being on my own.
Having that me time. And
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Excellent. Love languages, they can reveal a lot about people.
Absolutely. And they're very important if you're in a relationship. It's one of, something I really strongly believe for anyone in a relationship to find out yours and your partner's. I am a words of affirmation girl. My husband is an acts of service guy.
Okay.
Yeah. It took a lot of, not a lot, but we had to learn that about each other, and really our relationship got better once we did.
So is he meaningful in terms of, sorry, not meaningful, that's not the word. Is he intentional in terms of when he provides affirmation?
It doesn't come naturally for him.
Right.
And same for me. I'm a giving person, so I would say gift giving is definitely in my top 3. But the service aspect for me is not as natural. And we had to just learn how to speak each other's language, love language. And our relationship has gotten significantly better since then.
Right.
And, I'd say probably 4 years before we even started really realizing it.
Yeah.
But we had a baby and our life changed a little bit, and that put a bit of tension on our relationship. And it really kind of went back to the drawing board and found it out about each other. And have since it's been really shifted us back into gear, which has been really nice. So if you don't know yours, figure it out.
Find out. Oh, it really warms my heart. That it really does, because I think a lot of work has gone into the love languages sort of tests. And I think you know, some of the guests that I've had on the podcast, not big fans, but I think it's not a label. It's not okay, I can only receive love in this way, but it's a good measure, a good indicator of, okay, this is how I've noticed, or what the test at least has told me is meaningful to me, and therefore when that need is met, it energizes me to want to meet your need as well. So I think it's really, really powerful.
Yep. And I think knowing your partners is the key there. Like, you can know yours, but you have to be willing to speak and meet your partner where their love language is, which I think is the part I was missing for a while.
Yeah. And then on the other side, be able to communicate yours as well, because I think that's sometimes the invisible challenge.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, excellent. All right.
Do you know what your love language is?
I do. So physical touch is my highest, and it's like, you know, it gives you a score out of 12 as well. So it's like skewed. It's like, I think it's 11 or 12, and then the next one is words of affirmation as well.
Oh, nice.
Quality time is quite high up there as well. Yep. But I've really noticed it, and of course people think about in romantic relationships, but even if in one of the jobs I was in, even if my line manager came up to me and just went, "Great job," that act of just touching me on the shoulder was powerful, and it made me receive that a lot better than if it was just an email, "Great job yesterday," that kind of thing. Yep. So I think knowing that, you know, is really good to kind of analyze, why do I feel so good about this, and why don't I? So that helps. Me
and my girlfriends, we all have told each other our love languages, and we try and speak to each other in those languages too, especially when we need it. When one of us needs to show up for the other, we try and show up in the way that they would receive it best. So it doesn't just work for romantic relationships.
Totally agree. Although, you know, in romantic relationships,
it's very important.
It's very important, very intense. I have a friend, I'm going to shout him out, Ben Weeks, his name is, and he knows that I need a hug every now and then, and we'll just hug for like a solid, I don't know, 30 seconds or 60 seconds when we meet. I think one time he came around and we just sat on the sofa hugging. Hey man, I needed this, that kind of thing, going through a tough time, whatever. But yes, it's so important that the people around you that you love know your love language. Yeah. Is there a routine or something that you use on a day-to-day basis to help you stay productive, move forward? It might be meditation, it might be a walk, it might be something like that.
So I would say my secret to my kind of like my motivation or what inspires me is I go on a walk and I listen to a podcast
called the Go Encourage podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Just going to plug my favorite podcast here. And I find I'm a big fan of educating yourself in any way. And a lot of times that for me shows up in listening to podcasts or an audiobook. And going on a walk, and I tend to find taking myself out of my space, getting outside, getting some fresh air, and listening to something else is when the ideas start coming. And I can start, I'm actually ADD, so I have, I can get like super overwhelmed in my space. And then I'm like that, you open a bunch of tabs. I like do that in my life. I like start, you know, reorganizing my bookshelf. I'm like cleaning out my desk drawers. I'm like trying to get, you know, writing a piece. I'm trying to do all this stuff and just taking myself out and listening to something. I end up finding like I get a bunch of inspiration from listening to people and ingesting new information. It then like sends me and it gives me a place to think and do that outside. So I would say that for me, when I feel like I'm getting into this like lull or not motivated or don't know what, even like in my day, right? Get midday and I'm like, oh gosh, where do I do next? Where do I need to invest my time? I then go outside and take a walk and listen to something. And I usually find that sort of resets me and then gives me a direction for where to then spend like the rest of my day or how I want to run, you know, plan my week and things like that.
And is that as and when you feel like that, that's when you'll go and do it?
Yes,
it won't be like, at 6:00 in the morning I'm doing...
It's as and when, but I try and do it every day if I can. If weather allows and if I've got the time because I just find it so beneficial. And if not, I'm a list girl. So like I write things down, just organizing, getting things out on paper for me is super important.
Yeah, excellent.
There's a lot going on up here.
I love it because you're talking about things that don't cost anything. Really simple to do and don't require too much time, but they make a huge difference in the way that you show up for yourself in your day-to-day.
Yeah. And I think we forget to educate ourselves sometimes. And I know I did. And really, upon reflection of my career in finance, like it was just my life and I wasn't ingesting anything new outside of like media.
Sure.
right? And it's been a big change to, it gets lights, ignites those flames in your mind about things and stuff. So I just think it's so important to take that time for yourself if you can. You never know what kind of inspiration or motivation will come from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of growth, it's phenomenal because we don't know everything. There's always things that we can learn, and then that might spark a new passion for something.
Exactly.
Or on the opposite way, it might even enforce the beliefs that you already have by saying, I definitely don't agree with that. You know, it's not like you have to agree with everything you learn, but it just sparks those creative juices flowing, like you're saying.
Exactly. Or the opposite side of that, you may hear a different side to something, and you might, that might impact you in the way you're thinking. And, the can't teach strong opinions loosely held is kind of, is a good motto. And it's, doing that. You just never know what doors will open for you.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't tend to talk about politics on the podcast, but just to use that as an analogy, if you're subscribed to either side of the American system, let's say, then the algorithm just pushes more and more stuff in the stuff that you're interested in, but you never hear the other side of the argument. You never have a balanced view. So it's really important to kind of explore those things.
100%.
I'm talking politics, but as an analogy for everything.
Everything. Exactly. And I have some friends too, who of those 12, I have a very good friend who we tend to have different views on lots of things. And I love to speak to her about things. Because she really does bring that up for me. And it's super healthy, right? You don't have to agree with everyone, but you have to be able to see, get visibility of other sides, right? Of the coin. It's important.
I think so. And it's why I like listening to Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, like lots of different names. I can't remember the long named person. He's like a genius. I'm not going to attempt it, but like very different, areas of the political spectrum, or, different opinions on things in society. But it's great because you're hearing, okay, that's a good argument, or actually, I don't think that's a good argument, or whatever. And it kind of expands your brain. Even some people that get cancelled, I'm like, why did they get cancelled? What did they say? Oh, actually, that, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that, or whatever. And it just keeps you in that growth mindset to go, okay, who am I? What do I think about certain things? And I'm okay with being wrong and learning new things,
100%. There's some matchmakers that actually have very different opinions than me. And I love, I stay up to date with some of the stuff they're pushing to their clients and stuff. And I don't agree with a lot of but it gives me kind of why, it then makes me look at myself and say, like, why don't you agree with it? And like, what do you believe? And it just makes me do my job better, I think. And, complete respect to them too. I think we all work in different ways, and they're very successful and with their clients. So it works for them, but not necessarily the same sort of beliefs that I have.
Yeah, I think that's great. Instead of firing bullets at everyone all the time, you can learn from each other.
Exactly.
And, even in marriage, like you're going to be with someone that you align on many things, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you're not going to agree on everything. And it's kind of working out how you can move forward in that as well.
100%.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So what part does courage play in your dating life, in one's dating life?
No, I think everyone who is dating is showing courage. It is it's a courageous thing to put yourself out there, right? And I think when everyone has a story and everyone's been through something. So those people that are getting up and brushing their knees off to get back out there after heartbreak or trauma, rejection, all of these things people face. And I just think it's such a brave thing to do, right? To put yourself out there, to put trust and faith in other people, to spend time and open yourself up to other people. Love is scary. Truly, it can be, right? And sort of like jumping into the deep end when you get to that point. And so I just think, it plays a lot of roles, right? And I think confidence is a form of courage too. And like being confident in yourself and feeling, again, like putting a good face on, getting out there, doing it, regardless of like what your past held, wanting to take that step to find a partner. I just think it's like really beautiful and courageous.
What are the common fears that people sort of struggle with?
You know, again, back to that rejection and is a big one. I think rejection is probably the most commonly discussed fear when it comes to dating. And, you know, what I tell everyone, all my clients, I tell, if you're going to start dating, what I want you to do is to sit and reflect about what you want. What I mean by that is I want you to be very specific. And so I'm giving you guys some of my secrets here, but really spending the time at writing what you want from what kind of interactions you want in the beginning stages of dating.
Right.
So what I mean by that is, what are you looking for? So maybe it's communication. Maybe it's like quick to make plans. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's conversation. Maybe it like being in communication constantly or regularly, rather. Not healthy to be in communication constantly in the beginning. But what does that look like for you? Even when you're on dating apps, like what do you want those interactions to be? Respectful, right? You don't want people sliding into your DMs, hey, hot stuff, like, you know, what kind of interactions do you want? Really reflect on what you want for yourself. And then as a second part of that, really think about how you want someone to make you feel. And so comfortable,
right?
Maybe safe, respected. And these are different for other people, right? But when you clearly define those things for you, that's your step to go out there, because now you have guidelines for yourself. I'm not going to tolerate someone who isn't respectful when they reach out to me on an app.
Yep.
I'm not going to tolerate someone who is, you know, not consistent or who isn't looking to get faced like an in-person meeting, right? And a lot of people this day and age will do this like pen pal thing where they're just looking for validation and don't really want to meet people.
Right.
And it's important to determine these things beforehand, because as soon as someone starts not going within the guidelines you've set for yourself, you can say goodbye. And I think it's a way to build confidence too, right? Once you know what you want, and this is just very early days of dating, right? You can then go out there and at least you have this to sort of lean on, right? People aren't doing it. I'm not going to waste my time on people who are, you know, not being respectful or don't seem interested in actually meeting me. Things like that. And that would be my first main tip that I give people, is to really spend time reflecting, write it down. And there's something about writing it down to then you can go back to it and go, wait, this is what I've said for myself. So I'm not going to tolerate anything less than this.
Yeah, sure.
And
like a core value sheet, so to speak.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. But really defining that for yourself. And I mean, literally writing it down, because once you do think about it and you have it in your brain, you're going to then start being able to identify when someone's not or when someone is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would say that's probably the first thing.
It's so, like if you drop that into someone's day to day, they're like, why would I do that? And maybe just go on instinct and say, oh, well, I know what I want, but actually not realize that what people, like if I say it to me, I might not realize that what I want has just been fed to me through movies or through TV shows or books I'm reading or whatever, and they're unrealistic in terms of what the world is really like. And so I'd walk in with all these, like, I want someone to fulfill me, and like we all know that another person is not going to fulfill you, right? And then even looking at that list back, saying, oh, actually these are unrealistic, let me be clear about what I can expect and what I do want.
What I find with the majority of my clients is that exactly what you just said. They think in their mind they have what they want, but their track record shows them accepting other behaviors. And so it's really kind of shining the mirror on them and going, you're telling me this is what you want, but then what are you doing with this guy or girl who's has no interest, is unreliable, makes plans with you and then cancels them at last minute? Like, why are you then giving them your energy? And so it is really one of those things where when you have it written down, you're going, oh, wait. And then it starts happening naturally in your brain. You'll start identifying these traits that aren't aligned with what you want. And so it seems simple, but it's an exercise that has so many benefits to people. And it also means, and I'm on a mission, like I said, to get the nice guys in first place. It also means people who put heavy weight on certain things, physical traits primarily. This is men and women, by the way.
Sure, absolutely.
And it means that they're able to look past those in the beginning if they are clear on what they're looking for in terms of interactions and how people make them feel. And then, because all that physical stuff can come later. Whereas these important things, we shouldn't be negotiating on them. You should not negotiate on how someone makes you feel, right? If someone doesn't make you feel comfortable in a meeting with them, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important. It seems like a very easy exercise, but you find when people spend that time reflecting and then you compare it to their history, that there's quite a gap. There's quite a difference in what they've expected for themselves. Or like you said, a lot of people don't know what they want. So it's a great exercise to really spend that time thinking about what they do.
And I guess the more familiar you are with your list, I say list, your values, then if someone does mess up, let's say you start a relationship or start a connection with someone and they said something inappropriate or they flaked once on a date or something, you can start to look at that and go, is that out of line for that person's character, or were they operating from fear themselves, and do they deserve another chance? And then you get to, okay, this has happened 2 or 3 times now. This is definitely character. It's not like a one-off thing. So I guess I'm waving the flag for this core values list to say, well, actually, this is a document that's not a tick box, but it's a place to go to kind of assess where you're at with different connections that you're having.
I tell my clients regularly, I would say I have to say this once or twice a week minimum. If they are going on dates or, starting to get into things, I ask them to go back to their list. And I say, let's go back and read it. Remind yourself what you've said for yourself, because it's so important. It's so important. And a lot of times people are lonely and people are just, so we justify and excuse some behaviors that we shouldn't. So it's a good reminder of valuing yourself, right? And I think really that when I started realizing I needed to value myself, everything changed for me. And so I'm hoping to do that for others.
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone is there listening to this going, I want to make this list, but I don't know where to start, could they get in touch with you? Could they get some assistance with that?
Absolutely. Please do. But it is something you can do very easily now, right? These are my first 2. My one is, how do you want people to interact with you on the apps if you're online dating? And then the second one is, how do you want someone to make you feel, right? Those are 2 just spend some time thinking about it, right? But yes, please do be in contact if anyone wants to speak to me.
We'll put all your links in the description and stuff like that, and we'll give everyone a place to kind of get in touch if they'd like to do that.
Perfect.
Dating apps for people that are starting out. I know we talked a little bit about dating apps earlier on. What kind of things should they be thinking about?
Oh, there's lots to think about.
I'm sure.
I would say the number one thing is being authentic. I have, and this is actually a lot of my male clients, you'd be surprised. I think we put, men they don't talk about it, but they do want to, come off well. They have insecurities is really what I'm trying to say. And regardless of those insecurities, you need to be honest on your profiles and authentic. And so sort of my hard and fast rules, you don't know photos over 2 years old. Make sure they appropriately represent you now. Having a mixture of photos that show different sides of you, so doing different things. We don't want 10 pictures of you and your cat. But really just being yourself. And so being creative in the way you open and share parts of yourself in your bios. So I like to think of fun things. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, you could do, I'm a Hufflepuff through and through. What house are you in? Kind of things. I will die on the hill that a flat white is the most elite type of
I'm
coffee.
going to pretend I know. Oh, a flat white. Okay, coffee.
That's
right.
a coffee. That's coffee.
So coffee went over my head and Harry Potter went over my head. But I hear what you're saying. Just to put yourself out in terms of your interest or your allegiance or your alignment or whatever.
Exactly. Telling a story about you in a little bit more creative way instead of going, hi, I'm Erica. I like cats and dogs. I like to go to the beach. And, being more creative in the way you give a little bit of yourself. But authenticity is key.
Okay. All right. That's good. It's good. Authenticity. And I think, like speaking from, so I've worked with men in terms of men's groups and things like that. Spoke to a lot of people. So I've been really like happy to speak to people in that way. And what I'm finding are very similar patterns, especially with the nice guys. I'm going to wave flags for nice guys today. And that is, I can't get my foot through the door unless I really pump this side of me, but then it doesn't feel authentic because I'm not overly like that. So a guy who might go to the gym twice a week might have pictures of him in the gym lifting up all these weights, but he goes twice a week and he goes on the treadmill. He's just trying to do some cardio, but he knows that picking up weights is going to get that attention online.
Exactly. And I hear that all the time, to be honest. That and also age or height. You tend to find, women do it too, don't get me wrong, but sometimes men feel like, oh, I won't show up if I put my actual age, or I won't come up because there's these filters on dating apps, which we'll give you my Instagram handle at the end of this, but I'm a big believer that I hate the filters, basically, because I really think you rule out some really, really amazing quality people by these filters that we put because we think in our head we know what our ideal person looks like and that they should be this height or they should be this age. But anyways, in saying that, men and women will adjust to make sure, because they want to come up in people's feeds, basically. And you're starting off your relationship in being dishonest, right? It's I understand the motivation behind it, and I empathize 100%, but you just want to be authentic when you come through, because someone will swipe on you. They will match with you. And imagine matching with someone and them going, oh, this person is great. And then you going, oh, by the way, I'm actually 5 inches shorter than I was, or I'm actually 3 years older. And there's nothing wrong with those things, right? But then you're automatically starting off being dishonest. And that is a big problem that's happening this day, like lately on the apps. And so, that would be one of my big things. And it is an insecurity at the end of it, but I want to work through that with people. And I also would like to abolish, is that a word? Get rid of the filters and parameters you have to set on apps, because I think they're silly.
So just to kind of push back a little bit, you were talking about core values and having those indicators of this is what I'm looking for. But then with filters, that's more to do with attributes?
Physical. Yes, exactly. And that's what I mean. Once you're clear on the first, you will hopefully put less weight on the second, right? So I really encourage, it's something I do regularly on my social media, is encourage people to date or to be open-minded to other, what wouldn't be their normal type, right? And I'm doing a study, I'm working on a piece about all about this, really, like our dating apps essentially ruining our chances of finding our person, because a lot of people who met their significant others offline, so in person, at work, networking, whatever, would they have swiped right if they had come up across that person on an app?
That's a great question.
It's and I put it out to about 4,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I think 50 said they wouldn't have swiped on their partner, and then an additional 29, maybe 30 said their partner wouldn't even have come up because they would have filtered them out with their parameters. And I would have filtered my husband out with my parameters. And so it's so interesting, and I hope it encourages people to get a little bit more, to be a little bit more open-minded.
Yeah.
Because it's two sides, right? We have these men who feel like they can't show up as their authentic selves because they're getting excluded, and then they are getting excluded. And I want to then open the door for those people that are setting these strict to be more open-minded, that you in your mind have this person, your ideal person, but like the physical piece can come later. And it does. A lot of people, I have some amazing success stories with clients who are in beautiful, happy, healthy relationships now. And every one of them would tell you that. And one of them rejected her now partner at the time. And afterwards, we went back to her list and he made her feel all of the ways she did. So she reached out to him and apologized for ending things after they went on one date. And she said, "Oh, thanks, but no thanks. I didn't feel anything." And now that's just proof to you it happens. And I just want that to happen for other people, right? I want to encourage the open-mindedness when people are on the apps, and so that people can feel comfortable showing up authentically as themselves.
Yeah. I love that she apologized as well. Just to say, I'm coming from a vulnerable place here and saying, I own that. I'd like to give it another chance. And it sounds like in this case, he wanted to continue with that, which is amazing.
Because he was, he's an incredible man. He's a lovely man. And so he understood too, all of these things, even the way he responded to that was a testament to her list.
Yeah.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Right? It was
beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing.
Cool. All right. What would you say so this is specifically to men.
Okay.
So what would you say to men looking to date? What important things should they be prioritizing when starting to date? So I think you've touched on quite a bit there in terms of physical attributes not being the most important, but it's actually your values that you're looking through.
Yep.
Let's say, I'm trying to think of something on the spot here. Let's say a guy likes a girl. He gets in touch with her, he completely messes up, like he said the wrong thing, he come on too strong, maybe not strong enough, that kind of thing. What would you say to that kind of a man who's gone through some rejection, maybe some insecurity, and trying to put it out there but not doing a great job?
I would start off and go back to, it always comes back to the list. One, I think it's really important to be clear on what he's looking for, right? Okay. And then if he meets someone who he thinks is lovely and he sort of, stumbles and messes it up a bit, always coming back with communication is the key to it all, right? It's the key to relationships. It's the key to these connections, and communicating those moments of you have to be vulnerable, but showing up and saying, look, it wasn't my best self, but like, love to give this another go, or would you be interested in going out again? I think being that kind of way. And then if it's not well received, it's want a lesson learned. Hopefully, I always tell people, if whether they say no to a second date or someone says it to them, or however long they are in their dating journey with someone, what lesson or learning and positivity can you take from it? Like, these are things. And so really doing that, and then going back out there, I would say my big thing is just don't give up. Take breaks if you need it. Dating can be exhausting. It can be deflating, but don't give up. And really, if you stay clear on what you're looking for, it will, you will find someone who's looking for the same, especially like men who are these women, they're out there and they're looking for you. I promise. And they may not know it when you show up knocking, but hopefully they do when you don't continue to harass, don't get to the point of harassment where you're like, come on, give me another chance. But do offer that. Be willing to be open and a bit vulnerable that, I wasn't in the right place, but I'm really interested in you. I'd love to take you out on a date again. And then you're putting it out there too, right? You're, even if they say no, you're putting it out there like, I am looking for this. And I back to sort of, you get what you put out. I believe that, putting that out there means that someone is going to come, and you're going to, you get this experience from dating, you're going to do better the next time. But just being really clear.
It's very masculine in nature, what you're saying, to be very clear about what you want and just saying what that is, and then allowing the chips to fall where they fall. I think the shadow feminine can start to creep in as a man when you start getting insecure. Is she going to like me? Maybe she doesn't want me to say that. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Maybe it should just kind of come out naturally. And then we end up getting friend zoned, etc., all that kind of thing. But that masculine power starts to rise when you say, no, I'm going to be very clear about what I want, and let's see where that lands. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I would just say that comes off to others, right? Even if you're feeling insecure, you're nervous about communicating, it comes off to other people as confidence, right? Someone communicating their wants or needs is portrayed usually as confidence. And confidence is sexy, right? People like it, men and women,
Sure.
right? And
we'll
so
get to women. We will get to women.
and so, yeah, I guess I would just like, that's part of it too. When you show up and communicate advocate for yourself, it can then have a really positive effect too. In that, even if you don't feel confident doing it, it is confident. And it's courage, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about what you want. So it's really just such an important thing to do.
Okay, that's good. And then what, in your opinion, are women looking for? I know that's such a general, and I'm not trying to say that this is going to be like fit for everyone, but I guess what the patterns that women tend to look for in men outside of trust, and I guess.
I think people are looking for the wrong things on both sides.
Okay.
A lot of the time. But I think women in particular, will answer this question versus what they're actually looking for in their actions quite differently. Okay. I think there's a definite disconnect. Goes back to the list, guys. And so I think women will say they're looking for, they're looking to be respected. They're looking for someone who's reliable. They're looking for someone they can trust. Yet a lot of times their behaviors are giving their energy to people who aren't doing those things.
Okay.
People with the red flags, and people who aren't valuing their time, or people who are not interested in a relationship, right? And there's nothing wrong with not being interested in a relationship, but it goes back to communication. As long as you guys are communicating that from the get-go, you can hopefully stop these patterns of falling into these situationships, which, can be very draining and cause a lot of hurt for people. So I think the answer versus the actions are a bit different in some instances, and it goes back to like the nice guys, right? They're everything on that list, but they're not getting this, they feel like they're sort of being left out or not being approached in the same way as these other people. So it is a bit of a skewed answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense to me, actually. It does make a lot of sense. Yeah, and I guess it's tricky because I don't want to say just men. We will get to women in a second. Okay, let's just say just men. I think there is a sense of, having that courage to say, okay, I need to get over my own stuff to be able to put myself out there. Where I land, I don't know, but to have that communication that is clear and say, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. I just want to be friends with benefits. Are you up for that? And I'm just saying what people are, whatever people are into. And if that's reciprocated, then hey, who's to judge? Both people are consenting to something that's outside of maybe what other people like.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, again, I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for someone I want to commit the rest of my life with. And then having that back is phenomenal, because then you're matching on your authentic need as opposed to what you think the other person is looking for. Yep. So it kind of makes sense.
And I would say that is probably what women are looking for. That is the thing that doesn't change. They're looking for someone to be clear in what they want from the beginning. Right. So if you're not looking for something serious, and you're, they call it all these different things online now. But if you're looking for just a friends with benefit situation, or, casual fling, whatever, communicate that from the beginning. And then again, we go back to that. You have the information. Now it's your responsibility to make a decision based off that information that's being told to you. So I'd say that's what women are looking for. They're clear communication from the beginning about what the intentions are.
Yeah. We're going to get to women in a minute, but here's a question that I was asked, actually.
Okay.
Because I was talking to someone before talking to you. How can men flirt? Right? in a way that's courageous but not coming across negative, because I think a lot of times men are scared that they're going to come across as a creep or as and some men are, let's not say they're not, but let's say you're a guy, good intentions, and you're trying to build some sexual tension, maybe some chemistry. What would you say to them in terms of developing that area?
I love this question, so thank you for asking. I would say compliments outside of physical appearance are, and you can say, if someone's showing up for a date, please tell them they look beautiful, right? Like, or, you compliment the effort they've put in, because women are putting in the effort before these dates, right? So let's acknowledge that.
Hey, men are wearing long sleeve tops.
Sometimes.
Unless you're in Texas, yeah.
And so you can compliment in that sense, but to compliment their mind, compliment their accomplishments, right? Compliment when they're sharing details and stories about you. You can flirt with them in that way, right? And you can flirt with someone by being kind, being chivalrous, right? Flirting is buying a drink, maybe pulling a chair up, right? Things like that people, those are ways to, I'm not saying every time you pull up a chair for someone, it's, but those are ways of showing they are a little flirty. They are that gets lost a lot. I mean, you'll be surprised the kind of first dates I hear about sometimes that have just like nothing. There's nothing there. And so it's really important to sort of go back to that, like, that masculine versus feminine kind of piece, but less compliments on the physical, appearance. You can do it once, but don't be, your legs look great in that. Your hair looks, your makeup looks, like compliment her about other things. Is a good flirting tactic, I think.
Wow. Yeah. Let's move on to women.
Okay, great.
How about women? What would you say are good things to think about when putting yourself out there as a woman? And I just want to say, look, we're talking about men and women today. Yeah. I know there's like stuff that's outside of that and things like that, but we're kind of looking at the masculine and the feminine, just to say.
Exactly. And whatever you lean closest to at this time. For women, I would say, again, kind of the same in that really just, it's so important to clearly define what you're looking for. Okay. Exactly what you're talking about. People we were talking about before. It also, when you're clear on what you're looking for, it'll stop you from getting into these, like, they're called situationships, where you, you're not interested. A lot of times it is male driven. That's just what I see showing up in the work I do. I'm not saying that in every case, but a lot of times, women are looking for something and they have, it's called breadcrumbing. I'm teaching you all of these like Gen Z millennial terminology, but it's basically in a relationship or with two people where someone is giving you just enough to keep you keep you engaged.
Right.
Yes.
Hansel and Gretel, I'm with you.
Yes,
Teaching
exactly.
the old man some tricks here.
So you're sort of going along, but it's not enough, right? So it's, maybe they ask you go out with them, or they see you, make plans to see you once every couple of weeks, but then you don't hear from them in the interim. But then they've had a couple glasses to drink and they send you a couple of messages one night and they're flirty and blah, blah, blah. And then they go quiet again. You're reaching out to them, you're not hearing from them. But then when they need you, kind of thing, when you're super clear on what you want from the beginning, you will stop yourself getting into those. And this goes past the list of really thinking about what kind of, do you want a relationship? Are you happy to be in a casual fling? Are you just dating right now? I went through a period of my life where I was dating. It was amazing. I called it the roster. I was like seeing, seeing about 5 guys at once, and we going to concerts with one, going for dinners, and really just enjoying being single. And that was a really great time for me. And it was right before I met my husband, actually, and I'd gotten out of these, relationships that weren't anything, and it was a great time of exploration and stuff. So if that's what you're doing, great, but just be clear on it so that you don't get into a situation where you get hurt, right? Because if people start doing things outside of what you're looking for in that moment, don't accept it, right? So I think,
can I ask a question about that? So when you're in that situation, you're seeing 5 guys, not the burger place, just to say, you're communicating with each of them, like, hey, I'm seeing people, this is an exclusive, or is it more disclosure as and when it needs to be?
there were some that I guess we didn't really have the conversation. It was super early days. And I think, but we were dating, right? We were in the very sense of the word as like we were going on dates. Whereas this day and age, I think people will be like, oh, and actually, my husband uses the term dating to talk about people being in a relationship.
Yeah,
whereas
that's, I guess, what the language would be like that here. Yeah, definitely.
And for us, I think it's a generational thing to an extent too. And especially in the younger generations. I sound like an old lady talking like this, but,
I'm a Gen X, so I'm probably a little further down the track.
So is my husband. So he's, but in the sense of just like going on dates and exploring and stuff. And so nothing was very deep with people. I mean, one guy was like sort of, potentially starting to get there, was very, very clearly then communicated that like, oh, I'm just, I'm not looking for a relationship right now. I'm enjoying myself being single. And yeah, it was great. It was really well received. And it was a really fun period of my life that I look back on, and really set me up to, I think, get into my relationship with my husband.
Yeah, sure. Because we're kind of drilled. I mean, I say we, and I'm talking about my generation now, maybe the generation above, those boomers. When we think about dating and relationships and things like that, it's kind of like coming from the perspective of you go to school, you finish school, you get a job, you meet someone, you get married, you have your 2.4 children, you get your house with your white picket fence, and that's it. And then you repeat the process with your children, and that's life, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's changed. And for the better or worse, who knows, history tells us, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like looking at the potential of having multiple experiences when you're young, so that you can say, well, actually this isn't healthy, or this didn't work for me, or I was really exploring being around someone who let's say travels a lot, and that's not what I want to do, or the other way around. And so there is a benefit to kind of have that. I come from, so I was born here, but my parents are from India, and so there's this and they're quite modern, to be fair, they came here quite young, but there is this Indian culture of like, you do not have a boyfriend, you do not have a girlfriend, you do your studies, you get to uni, and then you get a job, and then it's like, why don't you have someone? It's like, because we weren't allowed to have. I mean, I'm a guy, it's a little bit different, but like definitely with women, you weren't allowed to go on dates, you weren't allowed to meet boys, you weren't allowed to be in the same space with one boy and one girl. But then all of a sudden, you're expected to start this relationship with someone.
Wow.
So I'm just throwing that all into the mix of like, there are benefits of saying, well, actually, I'm single, but I want to have some experiences and date around to see what's right.
Yep, absolutely. And exactly what you said. It's all, you learn about yourself through those experiences. So you're learning what you like and what you dislike, and you're able to then identify behaviors and habits that may not be, your norm, or may not be, make you feel good, whatever that is for you. And for me, it just meant that it really helped for me. I felt like I had a great time. I felt like I enjoyed it. It was probably the healthiest at that point in time I'd been in my life, and like my mental headspace, and really just kind of like, okay, great, we'll see what happens. And then led me to my husband. But it's just basically it's just to say, like, whatever you want, it's fine, as long as you are clear on what you want from the beginning.
Sure.
Because the hard stuff comes when you accept someone's not looking for something, and you think to yourself, I can change him. When people tell you what they want, you should listen to them. And it's a hard truth, and it's hard for, I find women have a hard time with this sometimes, because we're carers for the most part, right?
Sure.
And
it's that nurturing.
Exactly. I can change him. He will change his mind. But no, just being clear in the beginning what you want, and asking what the other person wants, and then you can make your decision.
Can I just throw into the mix here,
Please.
As a man? We can change, and we can grow, and we can develop, and we can become different. But we have to want to do that for ourselves. And I think when we come alongside women who want to change us, it becomes a mother-like figure that then drives us away, because that's not what we're looking for. We're explorers by nature, and I'm being very generalistic. I always know that when I'm talking about men. But we like to explore, we like to develop, we like to have revelation, and then work off that in this kind of very adventurous way. So I hear what you're saying, and I actually agree with you. I don't think you should go into a relationship thinking that you can change. And I know we're in the women's space here, so going in there thinking I can change him is probably not going to be a good idea on any level.
And men can change, right? People can change, but never start a relationship thinking you can change what they want out of a relationship, right? That's the key. Get them to communicate what they want out of this partnership or whatever, and don't expect to change their mind, right? Yeah. And if we go on a date, you tell me, Eric, I'm not looking for anything serious, and I'm like, okay, great. We have a nice date. Then we wish each other the best. And then you come knocking in 6 months and going, actually, Erica, enjoyed our date. Now I've decided I'm looking for something serious. That's a different thing, right? So people can't change. People can come back and go, but do not start a relationship or a situation. I call everything, two people, a relationship between two people, right? Don't get into that with someone expecting them to change their mind about what they want, because it's not fair. It's not fair on that person. And I hear it a lot. I hear it from some of my male clients too. They're like, I feel bad because I've hurt her, but I told her from the beginning. And so that would be my advice to women. And I'm not trying to generalize at all, but just be really clear and ask the other person. And if they're not ready to meet you where you want to be, then leave it. Understand that is it. You have to listen to them. You have to respect them and honor what they're saying. And I think that's where we can go wrong sometimes. I'm in full agreement. I think that's great. I think it's really good. So staying with women, same question actually. How can women flirt without coming across in a negative way or a standoffish way, or seeming too eager sometimes as well? I really love these questions, these two questions in particular. I really love when you're flirting or, complimenting a man. I think it's important to compliment his effort in whatever he's done. So, men are by nature, they are providers, and they, want to deliver or lead, and acknowledging whether that be, for example, for my husband, I try and affirm and compliment the contribution his work is and the hours he works and to our family. But that can, if you're on a date, first date, hey, thank you for picking this restaurant. Great pick, great choice, right? And things like that. So, or wow, your job is amazing. And this goes for both sides, really, men and women. But I think for men, it can be, they can go on autopilot. I need to provide, I need to deliver, I need to do these things without getting that recognition sometimes. And it's important. It's really important. And some people go their whole life without getting that. And so you can obviously do it in a fun way and come through. But I think it is, it's a good way to do it. I think depending on the person, people like physical touch. So little touches here and there, I think go further. Being a female, brushing your arm or, getting a piece of lint off of you, things like that. That is, I don't want this to be taken that women can just touch men, by the way, but it's just those kind of things too. And a lot of men don't feel that physical touch as much in their life, which actually you end up finding the reason men connect so much with physical touch is something they've craved. And just to say, a lot of my work is based off of psychology and research. And so these things come up and how important they are for men, and how to speak to men and things like that. I mean,
I'm feeling it. I'm actually feeling the emotion of when you're saying those two things. So the physical touch and leading in the physical touch means I, as a man, don't have to worry, freak out, have I touched her hand? Should I have touched it? Whereas if she's leading in that, then I'm like, okay, she's comfortable. This is great. This is cool. So that's one. And then the other thing was the complimenting effort. So
Yeah.
as soon as you said that about your husband, I'm thinking about my own life, thinking, oh my gosh, that's so powerful when, you know, someone close to me says, oh, I really, really recognize that thing that you did for me.
Yep.
You can feel that. I can feel that as well.
It goes a long way, I think. And it's just so important. So I love these questions because I really think they're important in the way we communicate with people and the way you can reach people on a different level other than like, hey, you look great in that skirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally agree.
Or like, oh, you're so hot. And again, you can always compliment. You should compliment men too when they show up for dates, right? You look handsome. You know, you look great. That's totally fine. But then to go on, really get a bit deeper, like the effort you've made, or, you know, thank you for coming across town and picking a place by me. Like I see you. You're showing that you see that person and you see what they've done, put in. And for men, they need that a bit more than we do, I think.
And I love the examples that you're giving as well on both sides, because they don't cost anything. And they're really simple, but they're really powerful. They show that the person is looking beyond the surface and recognizing what's going on underneath. Even if it's just, you know, you go to these restaurants or places where you've got like a sofa backing where you sit, and then the other one has the hard chair. And then the man tends to choose the hard chair so that, you know, so she's more comfortable. And just to even recognize those little things to go, oh yeah, I did do that. Yeah, thank you. Oh, you've noticed. Yeah.
Yep. And that also encourages, like, you know, me calling it out in you, I'm reminding myself that you've done that, right? So it's also then reinforcing for me, like it's got a positive impact on yourself too, right? Like, oh, what a nice, you know, he's done this, you're calling it out. And so it has a mutual benefit actually. Psychologically for you, it actually then positively reinforces, you know, how you're feeling about this person. And then you're, you know, benefiting them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm thinking psychologically speaking, when we're talking about mothering men, there's a really fine line here.
Yeah.
So I know I've said don't mother men before, but there is something that our mothers, and I'm generalizing, not everyone has this experience, but our mums would be calling out in a positive way the effort that we do, right? So that kind of is aligned with that. And, you know, in terms of that, so there was what was it? So there was complimenting the effort.
Yep.
And then the second one has alluded to the touch. Okay. And so our mothers would be the ones who'd be like cuddling us after we've done something great or when we're ill or whatever else. And so the two are programmed into us from a very young age as young boys.
Yep.
And so when we see that from a partner, we are receiving that kind of love that's been hardwired into us, but it's not coming from the other perspective we were talking about where it's trying to change you and trying to dominate you. That's different.
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, there is some beauty in that nurturing side of the feminine energy, you know.
Yep. And I think even if you did, you know, if your mom wasn't a big part of your life, or, you know, some people unfortunately don't grow up them, it's something that you still crave and you miss, you feel that. So then to have that connection and feel it, you're a bit more drawn to it, and it just does. It has such a positive impact.
Yeah, totally. I want to say one of my biggest fans of my podcast is my mum. She listens to every episode. She's like, oh, I really enjoy this. Hey, mom. Okay.
Love that, by the way.
Oh, she's a legend. My dad, so English isn't his first language. He's pretty good at English, don't get me wrong. He's been here a long time. But he's the one who comments on everything. And mum's the one who has the deep conversation with me afterwards. And I'm like, Dad, you don't have to comment on everything. It's okay. Because obviously we share the same surname. Can you share a particular experience that required courage for either yourself or a client that you were working with? What kind of courage did they need? What did they push through? What was a barrier that you could give an example of?
Well, I just want to say all of my clients show courage every day. Just off the top of my head, thinking of two examples in particular. One of them is a client who has struggles with their confidence. And just keeps getting back on the horse.
Love it.
You know, we have done a lot of amazing work and so proud of them. And really a lot of my work starts before you even you get on the app or get to meeting people. I work with a lot of clients who aren't actually ready to start dating, and it's about getting them in the right space to do that. And yeah, they've just done some amazing, this person in particular has done some really amazing work with getting more, being happier in their skin they're in, and is now dating on the apps, and has come across some less desirable experiences, I guess. And also they've struggled with boundaries in their life, and in the workplace, in their personal life, in relationships. And I said it earlier in the podcast, but I just think dating in itself is just so courageous. And so this one just keeps putting themselves out there, and just seems to takes breaks when needed, but is really determined in finding the person that, meets them where they're at. And I just love that. And it's it's an amazing thing, and I feel so blessed and honored to work with them. And the other one I would say is a client of mine who, since we have been working together, she has a history of she was married previously, so it's a bit of dating after divorce. Her relationship she got in after divorce, very toxic, and so came to me sort of after that relationship had ended, and trying to like break these toxic patterns, and really finds she wants to find her person to spend the rest of her life with. So we've done a lot of work, and she got into a relationship with a really amazing guy, and he had to move basically. So he had to relocate. And as a part of that relocating, he basically was not able to be what she needed, provide in the way that she needed him. And I don't mean like financially provide, but like show up in their relationship. Sure. And she had spent her life not even compromising, just doing what other people needed. And she, like I said, very happy, lovely relationship, was falling in love. And he basically, because kids were involved and everything. So lots of, he's also divorced. So it's kind of, he had to relocate for work, and then his free time was basically going to then be going to visit his kids. And so it was complicated. And it's a shame when things like this happen, because you're just like, oh, so close. So good. And just like an external factor. It's nothing you can impact, right? Or you can change, right? You have no control over that. And we really went back to basics, and what are you looking for, and what do you want? And she had to make a choice. Do I stay? Do I continue this relationship, which is no longer really going to be, it's going to be like part-time. Right. We're going to see each other maybe once a month tops. They're going to be working all the time, so they can't speak. They're basically saying, they really care, but, these are their priorities. Fair enough, right? Yeah. Your career, your kids, and your relationship is basically no longer a priority because you've got all this other stuff. And please don't get me wrong, I feel for him, very much so too.
Misaligned needs, though, wasn't it?
It's kind of those wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. This thing came up, and I'm really proud of her. She had to he was very much, let's keep doing this, but we just can't, have all of these things. And it was really like, let's take 5 steps back and just go back to like dating, but not in this committed relationship, because I can't give you that right now. And she made the decision to break things, to end things. Oh. And it was really difficult, really hard for her. But it was the first time, and she said this, the first time she's ever put her needs before another man's. Wow. So that was, I would have to say that's probably just so courageous and so important. And yeah, just so proud of her, to be honest.
Yeah. It's a friend of mine messaged me the other day, and she's on the other side of the world, and she just said to me, she knew a little bit about my situation, what was going on, and I had to call a long-term relationship off, which was really difficult. And she just said to me, I just had this massive revelation about the courage it takes to make that call, like your client, because you're going up against a lot. You're going up against maybe that people-pleasing side of you for the partner, maybe the community that you're in, maybe, you know, other people's opinions in terms of your friendships, maybe even losing friendships, all that kind of stuff. And it's not something someone does for fun, right? You don't go, hey, yeah, I'm not feeling this anymore, I'm gonna go and do something. Like, there's a lot of heart-wrenchingness going on. I don't know if heart-wrenchingness is a word, but let's make it a word. But there's a lot of inner turmoil in making a decision that's right for you, you know? So I really can resonate with your client there.
Yeah. It's courage, right? That is it by definition, is really having, you know, it's so easy to stay in those, you know, those relationships, and sacrifice and lose yourself. And a lot of people do. And it's that courage to put yourself first and put your happiness first and put your value, like really recognize and call out, I'm worth more than this. I deserve better than this.
Absolutely. Once you found a match and met a few times, what would you say are the green flags to look out for? What are the red flags? Shall I guess the answer? Is it the list? Is it the core values?
Yes. Yes, it is. But I love that you asked about green flags, because I'm a big advocate of green flags. I think that when you identify your green flags, or what green flags are to you, again, great exercise, you'll start seeking them out, right? Whereas we can ignore red flags a lot.
Yes.
But this is the psychology behind anything, really, right? You write it down, you identify what these things are for you, what these green flags are. You'll be more drawn when you see them to people who are exemplifying those things.
Yes.
So again, back to the list, but people who are, whatever that means for you, right? Kind, you know, chivalrous, respectful, all of those common ones. Red flags on the other side of that, you know, people who, I think in dating especially, the red flags for me, especially like on a first date, are like people who are disrespectful of your time, late for a date. Yep. People who,
without good reason.
Yes, exactly. People who, you know, blow you off or stand you up or don't, unreliable, that kind of thing. People who are on their phone a lot, especially in a first date. That's, again, not being respectful of your time, right? Your time.
On Hinge while they're on the date with you.
Going to the bathroom and swiping. So those kind of things, just like really, but I think people don't talk enough about green flags. I think people are constantly like, you know, wondering, and I'm in some like Facebook groups where I try and support people in there. And a lot of times people be like, oh, is this a red flag? Is this a red flag? It's like, well, is it a red flag to you, right?
Yeah.
Does that, but if you start identifying when people are doing behaviors that you like, then you'll be more drawn to them. You'll see them, you'll seek them out more, which is really important.
100% agree with you. Is there anything else that you'd hoped I'd ask you today that I haven't quite got to?
We covered a lot of ground, I think. I'm just trying to think. You know, what I would say is just sort of tying in with the confidence piece, and confidence as a part of courage. You know, confidence and courage, I think, are built through action.
Yes.
And so if you're overwhelmed with the state of dating right now, and it is overwhelming, there's a lot of apps, a lot of behavior that we wouldn't really deem acceptable on these apps. There's not a lot of policing, right? So some people can get away with quite a lot. And it can be really discouraging, and people, you know, the catfish, catfish are all over the place, which, do you know what a catfish is? Oh my God.
So sorry. I need to get in the game. Yeah.
It's when people either there's like a show on MTV that has like probably 300 episodes called Catfish. So it's all about people who have been catfished online, basically through dating apps. It's people who use like false identities.
Okay, right. I'm with you. Yes.
And so really inauthentic and disingenuine people online. And it happens. It's happened to multiple of my clients, men and women, by the way.
Okay.
I had a male client who very recently was catfished by another woman. So this is not just something that happens to women. And so I just want to say to anyone who's dating right now online, if you're feeling not just online, but just dating in general, confidence and courage is built through action. It's kind of one of those fake it till you just keep going. Make sure you have your list and just know that your person is coming. I think, again, it can be really daunting, but just sort of getting back up on the horse, taking the breaks when you need them. But yeah, it's an important thing to do, and it's about connection, right? You never know who you're going to come across, and maybe they don't end up being your partner, but maybe they help you get a job down the line, or maybe you join their netball team, or you never know the connections you're going to make through that. And I guess we haven't really talked. I mean, online dating has come up quite a bit, but it is this day and age becomes such an activity basically for people. And it really impacts people's mental health. And a lot of people, when they're coming to me, they're usually at a breaking point with dating, right? They're kind of going, help.
Right.
What do I do now?
Yeah, otherwise, why would they even think about getting a coach? Yeah,
exactly.
Makes sense.
And so I see it all of the time. And so when being smart about all of these tools, I mean, I've been talking about, we have these mainstream dating apps, but all of these other ones are popping up, and it's great, but people are using them as activities, and they get in and they start swiping, and then an hour has passed, and they've, gone through 50 profiles, and they're not getting any matches. They don't feel like the pool of people is very good. And they're just, then you get off and you're like, you're discouraged and you're deflated. And just being smart about the way we're using this technology, right? It's a tool to help you make in-person connections.
Right. Yeah.
So use it as that.
Yeah.
Use it as, it's kind of like an Uber or a LinkedIn, right? It's something that's getting you to a point, right? Your Uber is your car that gets you to drops you off at the point you want to be at. These apps are getting you like connections to these people that then you're going to go meet in person. So make sure I'm super passionate about getting back to just like what dating should be. And yes, we have these amazing tools now to help you meet poor people, but it's a blessing and a curse. And it can really impact people's mental health. Yeah. So just being smart. And I always tell anyone who speaks to me that, limit your time. My top tips are limit your time on the app, 5-10 minutes a day. Don't let yourself swipe a little bit, answer some messages, get off, move conversations like real. When you're having conversations with people that are good, move them to texting. You can always block people if you're uncomfortable.
Right.
But if you're constantly opening an app and texting someone, and then you're waiting for them to respond to you in the app, and then you start swiping again, it is really detrimental.
You get distracted by it. Yeah, I gotcha.
And then you're deflated again, and you're discouraged, and you're going, oh, I'm not getting any dates. I'm not getting any matches. And just try and remember that it's meant to be a tool.
Yeah, sure.
Not an activity.
Yeah. I like that. I think Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and fill in the blanks, entertainment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Whereas dating apps, don't let that get to a place in your brain where it becomes a hobby or an activity or an entertainment thing, because it's not for that. You're saying it's a tool to help you connect.
Yep. It's not something to pass the time, right? It's something to help you make connections.
Are there any particular resources that you'd recommend? I'll ask that question first.
Yes. So I mentioned her earlier. She is the relationship scientist at Hinge. Her name is Logan Ury, and she wrote a brilliant book. And she is like it's like a bit of, it's all database basically, which is brilliant. And she's psychology based. But it's called How to Not Die Alone, and it is all around basically what I've been pushing around the open-mindedness and how you really, we get so caught up in these physical things and what we think our partner should look like and be and do, that we really lose the value of our values and how we want to feel. And so it's called How to Not Die Alone. It's a brilliant, brilliant book.
Okay.
I'd really encourage anyone to read it.
Link in the description if you're watching this. And then, I just want to say thank you for coming on the
Thank
podcast
you for having
today.
me. I've had a great time.
I know we talked, I think when we first connected, I think you might have been in New York. We had
I was in New York. Yeah, I was doing some work in New York. Yeah.
Amazing. So good that we got to meet in person.
Yeah, amazing.
And I just want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can find you, if they wanted to work with you, where they could sign up, things like that. So if you could point in the right direction.
Great. So I'm UK based as we've covered, but I work with clients all over the globe. So just wherever you are in the world, if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to speak to you. Anyone who listens to this podcast, I would love to offer a free consultation or a free session too. Sorry.
Amazing.
So if you can find me online at lawsofattractionlondon.co.uk. There is an inquiry form on my website which you can fill out. And if you just put in the message "Go Encourage," I will know. And
love that.
I'd love to give you a free session. That could be anything from how to set up your dating profile, going through. I'm happy to give feedback on your profile. We can talk about your relationships, past, present, whatever that is, and whatever I can support you with, I would love to offer that to your listeners. I'm also on Instagram at Laws of Attraction London as well. So those are probably my two main points of contact. I have a LinkedIn, Erica Laws, which I am very more on the research side. I post a lot of research around dating and the apps and things there. So if that's something you're interested in. And my email address is connect@lawsofattractionlondon.co.uk, and you can reach me there.
Amazing. Oh, that's so generous of you as well, because I really love my Go Encourages. And so that's great that you've given them
I'd love to speak to you guys.
service.
So please reach out. Really passionate about helping people in any way.
Fantastic. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've learned a lot personally, and I'm sure people have got some insight from you as well. I'd love to have you back in the future. So if you're up for that, that'd be really cool.
Absolutely. This has been great.
Amazing. All right. Well, so if you're listening today and you have got something out of this, something's resonated with you, or you want to ask questions and you want to reach out to Erica, please do that. You can also reach out to me via DM on Instagram. It's probably the best way to get hold of me. But whatever you're going through in terms of dating, in terms of self-confidence, your self-identity, and wanting to move forward, our encouragement today is to keep moving forward and to go encourage. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.